We're gathered here to discuss the 1996 Christmas classic, The Preacher's Wife.
Y'all, Heit is over here saying that Whitney Houston, the preacher's wife, and Denzel Washington as the angel went all the way. So we definitely got to talk about this movie.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App, or you can head on over to patreon.com/Axiom Amnesia to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
Yeah, so when they make these movies, when they were making these with Whitney Houston, they just want her to get on here and sing.
I mean, I think that's probably true. I mean, when you think about her first movie, The Bodyguard, I mean, it was basically like a famous singer with this storyline, but the music was a huge part of it. And just so you guys know, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Preacher's Wife with Whitney Houston and Denzel Washington and Courtney B. Vance, then you'll want to hop off the call right now. Really, you can just listen and enjoy it because it's not like you won't still get to hear the beautiful musical stylings of Whitney Houston and some other folks in this movie, even if you haven't actually seen it before. But some of y'all, when we asked, said that this was your favorite Christmas movie. So I'm sure you're glad to see that we are covering this movie. I remember seeing the film back in 1996 when it came out in the theater. And I ain't gonna lie, I did cry.
Bruh. I don't know. I don't know what it is that would make you cry about the movie.
Well, it was like some moving parts. And then, of course, the gospel music can get quite emotional at times. But in case folks didn't know, The Preacher's Wife is actually a remake. And it is a remake of the 1947 movie The Bishop's Wife, starring Cary Grant as the angel Dudley. And it was a black and white film. So that might be one reason why a lot of you guys haven't seen it. But I did go back and watch the movie just so that I could at least, know what the deal was. And what I would say are the main differences is obviously the people. And this is kind of a more black and gospel-y adaptation of it. And it's also feels more like a romantic comedy in a lot of ways. There's funny stuff. Whereas the original The Bishop's Wife was a lot more serious and,
It's a romance where the people who are in love aren't the married people.
Oh, my God. See, now we're adding up to the fact that guys, he believes that something went down. But before we get to the nitty gritty of that, let's talk about the music. The soundtrack. The soundtrack to The Preacher's Wife. Back in the day, I sent that soundtrack driving on the way back and forth to work. I sent that soundtrack like double platinum in my car.
Foolishness.
Like I was singing those songs to the top of my lungs. I loved almost every song on the album, and I was happy because the previous year in 1995, Waiting to Exhale came out. However, on the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, Whitney Houston was not every song on there, right? She had the song with her and CeCe Winans, Count on Me. And then she had Why Does It Hurt So Bad? And she also had, of course, Shoop Shoop. Given that it wasn't the entire album, that was a little disappointing because when you go to the Bodyguard album, the vast majority of the songs on the Bodyguard were Whitney Houston singing. So now we're back to that on the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. We knew we had to get back to that. So the music is just phenomenal, especially if you like gospel music. But my favorite song, well, I have two favorite songs off the soundtrack. One is I Believe in You and Me.
Oh.
Yes.
Now that you mention it.
And Heit has done.
I have.
He plays the song. He can play it on the piano.
See.
Listen at that.
That's I had this open.
Give me a little more. See what I'm saying? I love that. I believe in you and me. I believe that we will be. All right, y'all, it's early in the morning. So that voice ain't quite ready. And of course, I am not Whitney Houston, but y'all get
Something
the
like
picture.
that.
So he's played that song before, and we can sing that song. And that is just one of my.
I didn't know I liked that song. Well, I don't
didn't
even
know
think
it
I even
until I
knew the
sang it
song.
for you.
Yeah.
But we're always kind of, as he was learning to play the piano, we would look for songs that would be fun for both of us to me to sing along with, him to play, and so on and so forth. So that's how we got on that song.
I didn't even know I had this software open, but
I knew you had it open because I could hear it when before you hit a key before we started recording. But anyway, so the soundtrack is just phenomenal. You gotta love it. So that's probably my most favorite song. And the thing I love about it is there are 2 renditions of this song. If you're listening to and watching the movie, she does one rendition where she's singing in, I think it's Jazzy's club or whatever.
And it's supposed to be Lionel Richie playing?
Lionel Richie is playing, and he's the, guy who's a musician at the club. And so she sings one rendition, which is more, I would say kind of more jazzy, right? I believe in miracles. And then there's the official rendition,
the studio version,
that you hear on the soundtrack. In fact, I think maybe both of them are on the soundtrack. I can't even remember because at the time, if I didn't have any version of Whitney Houston song, like I downloaded that junk from places.
I think what I played was a mesh of the 2. I think that is the studio version, but the piano one in the movie is kind of
But I love the piano one, right? Except the vocals on the other version are like, she just really goes way, way out there with the vocals on that, which make them just amazing. But anyway, my second favorite song on the soundtrack is I Love the Lord. So yeah, those are my 2 favorite songs from the soundtrack.
So she's the preacher's wife, and she goes off to this old honky tonk. No, it ain't called honky tonk. I'm thinking honky tonk. Into this old hole in the wall club and just be singing and stuff. That's what happened.
Well, that was what she used to do back in the day before she became the preacher's wife. But we'll get to the summary of what happens in the movie in a minute.
Yeah, but that's how the music comes into the the film.
Let's talk about the acting just as a high level. Okay, we have Whitney Houston, and there was a couple times in the movie where you were like, she can't act.
Right.
And he slipped on the ice and fell right on his fanny.
Yeah. I didn't feel like that at the time, and I still really don't feel like it that much because that's
just how we generally say it, that this person can't act, but it's just some parts that just kind of like, it could be better. Right.
And then she's up against Denzel, who I think is just, a rising tide raises all boats. He just makes everybody just better, being in scenes with him. And Courtney B. Vance, who's an amazing actor too, who, by the way, you guys probably already know this, but he's been married to Angela Bassett for like a couple decades.
So when you find that one talent or skill, that could elevate you. And like, who else gets to act alongside those people, that caliber of actors? You got to bring something else to even get there to be able to do it.
They say he wanted Whitney in this movie. He was like, I got to have Whitney Houston. She got to play this role. And also Jennifer Lewis was in the movie.
Yeah.
And, I think she calls herself like America's mother. But she's been the mother in all of these movies back in the day from, Tina Turner. Talk about 6 degrees or less of separation, right? Because she played Tina Turner's mother in What's Love Got to Do with It, who Angela Bassett was Tina Turner in that movie. And Angela Bassett's husband, Courtney B. Vance, is in this movie and plays the son-in-law of Jennifer Lewis's character.
They were married at the time?
Whitney Houston's mother. I think they got married around this time. She was getting her back blown out
by Taye Diggs.
What? Talking about how Stella got her groove back. Shut up.
So Gregory Hines was in here too.
Gregory Hines was in here as well. And Sissy Houston, Whitney Houston's mama, was in here. Did you say Loretta Devine? Loretta Devine was in here. She, so like a lot of the cast of people, some of whom you still see today, and others, that were really, really in the 90s in all of these films in the early 2000s and stuff like that too. And then of course, Loretta Devine, Whitney Houston, and Gregory Hines were all in Waiting to Exhale from the year before.
Huh.
So,
They were getting them checks.
These casts were getting their checks on. And unfortunately, Whitney Houston and Gregory Hines are no longer with us. But they left their mark.
So you know what happened, right? So we got the early 90s, we got the gangster films, you know what I'm saying, or the hood films. And then people like, hold up, we need to show that we're real, wholesome people. And you know what I'm saying? We do serious topics and we're serious actors and all sort of things, right? And that's how these movies that, that we were given an opportunity to make later on too.
Right.
Because that stuff popped off in the early 90s. And it was like, hold up, wait a minute. It ain't just straight comedy and hood stuff,
Right. So there was a need, I think, to show, like you said, the diversity of Black life.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to have, some Black family films and other stuff.
And this is a hood film, right? To me, right? Because it's basically the hood is what they're showing you. And this is a staple, right?
Yeah.
This church in the hood.
Yeah, holding the community together.
Yeah.
You could definitely say that. They say it in the movie. And then there was one other actor that we should mention, the little boy. Justin Pierre Edmond, who narrates the entire film. And he plays the son of Courtney B. Vance and Whitney Houston's character, the preacher and his wife, their son. And I have to say, for a child actor, he was a little bit subpar because, he's going against child actors who you had people like Brandon Hammond that we saw in, Minister Society, Boys in the Hood, like
you had Orlando Brown,
right, from back in the day. So
from
you
every
had
TV show,
really hard hitting, child actors who could really act well. And this little boy, his voice was a little bit annoying. And he's a kid. I'm not trying to.
Sometimes what they do when they pick kids, they don't pick kids who are, I guess, well spoken, right? Something. Yeah. I don't know. It's something about when we start to enunciate more, even if, some of our speech may sound a little muffled or whatever, right? Or mumbled. There's still a point when you're a kid where you're not even there yet.
Right.
And they do that a lot in these movies. And I'm wondering, like, why y'all pick this kid? It's hard to understand them.
And he was very cute, a very cute kid. Looked like he could have been their kid, right? But his aesthetic was right, but the acting skills, I'm not quite 100% sure that he was, the best one for the role.
You okay?
No.
But, whatever. But cute kid and everything. I just think they could have found a stronger actor for. Because come on, it's Denzel Washington and all these famous people, But maybe he was somebody's somebody,
Or they just like, oh, it's a cute kid. Pick the cute kid, right?
And being cute will take
or
you a long way.
Pick the big popular singer.
And it wasn't so bad, like it ruined the movie. But I would just say that that stood out because he's narrating the film, so he's like, "Mommy and Daddy," and it just. That's a little annoying at some points.
Because you can't see the air doesn't stop you from breathing.
But let's just get to actually what does happen in The Preacher's Wife. So The Preacher's Wife, again, 1996. It's this heartwarming holiday film that was directed by Penny Marshall. If y'all don't know, she is Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, who, later on, that sitcom, later on she became a director. And we talked about the stars of the movie. And so what it does is it follows Henry Biggs, who's Courtney V. Vance's character, a hardworking pastor whose church and marriage are both struggling under the weight of financial troubles and his demanding schedule. So Henry, he prays for guidance, and his plea is answered in the form of Dudley, who's Denzel Washington's character, who is this charming angel who has been sent to help.
So Penny Marshall is white?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Laverne.
Yeah, when you say, I didn't know who it was until you say Laverne and Shirley, and I'm like, wait, that's a white person.
Yes.
Or wait.
Yes, she is. So Dudley, the angel's arrival, he brings these unexpected changes as he works to rekindle Henry's faith and restore his connection with his wife, Julia, who's played by Whitney Houston. So Julia, feeling neglected, she finds herself drawn to Dudley's charisma and kindness, which creates this tension as Henry battles his own jealousy and self-doubt. Meanwhile, the church faces eviction at the hands of this ruthless developer, Joe Hamilton, who's played by Gregory Hines, who tempts Henry with morally compromising, basically this morally compromising deal. And so as Dudley works his heavenly magic to heal relationships and inspire the community, he grapples with his own attachment to Julia. Because as Heit was saying, one of his old songs, I Done Fell. He done fell for Julia in the process of all of this. You remember that song, I Done
Heit
Fell?
reference.
I made a Heit reference just because, see, this is, let me tell y'all something from back in the day. Heit, had like these mixtapes, right? And earlier in the very early days of our relationship, I like went through and I listened to all of his songs and everything and, picked out my favorites and whatever. And then I caught lines. One thing he said in his songs, one of his songs was, something about, a woman or a girl that he would want to be with or whatever, that she would have memorized the lyrics to his songs or would know the lyrics to his songs. And so, of course I noted that, right? And I familiarized myself with his lyrics, not just as some form of manipulation.
There's a twist in that song. But...
Well, yes, but I pointed that part out because that mattered, and it matters to this story. So here we are, many, 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 many years later. And I could just pull a reference like that. So Dudley, the angel, done fell. He done fell for Julia in the process of this movie. So he's fighting his own thing because he's supposed to be helping Julia and her husband be closer together, Henry. And he's over here catching feelings for her. So this tests the boundaries of his own angelic mission. And so ultimately the film just explores these themes of faith and love and sacrifice. And it culminates in this heartwarming resolution where, Henry reclaims his purpose, Julia rediscovers her love for her husband, and then Dudley fulfills his defined role. So that's what happens in the movie, The Preacher's Wife.
Yeah, so they started smashing, right? So the thing is, in the movie...
Wait, you can't just say they started smashing. I was trying to take a drink break.
By the time people are here, y'all done seen the movie before. So what happened was, y'all seen they was always together. The husband, the preacher, he was all busy and stuff, doing church work and doing outreach in the community and stuff and going to visit people in the hospital. And this angel who came along, he ain't really know what it was like to be in the flesh, right? Like Jesus back in the day, right? He ain't know what it's like to be in the flesh. He started getting that feeling of being a human, and he's like, hold up, I gotta feel the insides.
Shut up.
And
this
then
is like
he eventually used his magic to get,
bruh, you cannot
to get Whitney Houston's character, the preacher's wife, to fall for him.
You cannot. No, okay. I 100% reject this idea that they actually did smash, even though Heit insists that
it's a family movie, so they're not going to just come out and say it or show it.
This is like part of your imagination. This is just no, okay, they didn't.
Well.
But speaking of an angel falling in love with a human, we have to make reference to our own fan theory for Queen and Slim, which we will link in the description in the event that you have not seen it. And in this fan theory, we suggest that Slim, played by Daniel Kaluuya, that he is indeed an angel. And, this movie is viewed quite differently through that lens. Right. So anyway, go to the description if you haven't seen that.
Yeah, but one of the connections to this one is that we talked about the way he ate, right? Yes. And even Queen, played by Jodie Turner-Smith, made reference to how Slim would eat, right? And that's kind of how,
an animal.
Like Denzel's character was eating in this movie once he got some food.
Well, that was like when he landed, that was like one of the first things he wanted to do, right? He was just like, oh man, first thing I got to do is get some food. And he wanted to taste all the food he'd had before. And he hadn't been on Earth, we find out, in like 30 years. So he'd been dead and gone for 30 years. And so he wanted to, re-experience those human experiences.
See?
And so this is him saying that it's adding up to the fact that one experience that he wanted to have with Julia that he went on and did. I reject that. This is a wholesome Christmas movie.
Do you accept that they fell in love or he fell in love?
I do accept that that he fell in love. I think she just was tempted. She was tempted, but I don't think she did.
Okay.
She was, come on. Like, it ruins the movie if you think she smashed the angel. No.
It ruins the movie.
No, it can't be. But
Well-
there are more topics and stuff. Like, we just got to, as we always do, we got to dig deep. We got to ask some questions, as far as what happened and why it happened.
Okay, what questions?
So let's talk about the first thing. So the whole way Dudley winds up there is because Henry has prayed and wants divine intervention, right? But
Intervention for what?
because
his
of
marriage?
everything, his marriage, his wife being frustrated, him kind of losing his faith and stuff like that. Basically everything kind of nothing really going right in his life at this point. And then him feeling kind of like I'm working as hard as I can and it's still not enough, and just feeling very defeated. But how does Henry's prayer for help and whatnot, how does this reflect his own desperation, and what does it reveal about kind of the nature of what we call faith under pressure? And I think that people always talk about how easy it is to, if you have any belief in anything, not just religious belief, but like if you have a certain creed and feel that life is this way and this is how you interpret life, then it's always easy to adhere when times are good, but the real test is when things are not going well.
I think it's very typical, because when are people getting down and needing prayer? Hey, I need everybody on my page to pray for whoever, because something has gone wrong. They're not doing that when everything is going good. I need people to pray on this and that, right? People pray, I'm in a rut. I need this. I need that, right? Everything is failing. My marriage is failing. The church ain't getting donations. Then then it's like, I really need to pray, and I need a prayer circle and whatever else. That's really right. So I think that it just shows that this preacher is basically just like everybody else, right? Even though he's a preacher.
Yeah.
I really need you right now, Lord.
And I think that can be like easy to think that somehow the people who are in positions of responsibility and power, that they don't experience the same emotions, the same doubts, even though, you think that maybe as just the individual, the person who's the parishioner, the congregation member, whatever, or even not even just in religion, right? The person who is just, a lower ranking part of this organization, you think, oh, okay, well, this person has it all together because they're at the top.
Right.
But a lot of times they're facing plenty of stressors and things you don't know about, and they're just putting on the good face.
Even like the angel, right? The angel came down, Dudley, and we seen he started falling for this woman, and then his old animal instincts and stuff kicked in.
Go to the comments, y'all. Do y'all actually think that Dudley did the doodly do with Julia? Come on. Yeah, it can't. No.
See, I didn't even say that. See?
Okay, so
you
what are you
believe
saying?
in it?
What
I'm
are you
just
saying?
saying.
I'm not believing it. I'm rejecting it full-throatedly.
You said it. I didn't even say it. I just said that he's showing that he wasn't just like, you think of an angel perfect. They don't have these things. He got here, became a human, and he started lusting and stuff, and they did the do.
Well, so let me, since we're talking about Dudley, let me ask this question. Okay, so Dudley came there to help solve the problems. He had magical powers, he could just point, stop, every time he touched somebody on the hand, they would feel that tingle. And, he made the mama quit smoking, and other people, like, they knew that there was something divine about him or special about him, that, this power that he had, this energy. But, when you think about his approach to how he was solving or trying to solve Henry's problems, did he inadvertently create some new challenges, right? Because he made Julia like him in his approach to the way he was trying to solve
the preacher became jealous, right, of their relationships and stuff. Yeah. But maybe sometimes you need adversity, right? Or you need problems to show you how good you do have it, and that sort of thing. Amen.
Because sometimes the struggle times like show you what's real, right?
But you talked about the way you touch them and the tingling and all that stuff, but right, that's just how some people ascribe to charisma. Riz, charm.
Yeah, that
right?
Riz.
That's what it means when you have Riz. I always wish I had that, but
Shut up. Okay. Stop it.
What?
I always wish I had red. See, that's that reverse psychology
No, it's
thing.
not. No, because like, so, they have people, they say, oh, when they step in the room, the whole room lights up and whatever. They have this aura around them. I don't think I had that. No.
Well, I guess because you're not like one of those people that's going to walk in the room and demand
I
like
don't know
all
if
this
it's just
attention.
that, but whatever.
You're kind of a more reserved
But like,
and quiet
neither
type.
did Dudley. Dudley just touches you and they're like, dang, it's something about this guy, right? And they say that when you meet, I don't know, Rihanna, then it's just something, right?
Well, these people, but let's not pretend like all of the people. Okay, this is my theory on people who become really, really famous like that. They are all people who want to be known. And if you look back to them as children, these are the kids who come in the room and are like, watch this. And then they're dancing and they're singing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hold up. We got to stop. So there was this video where Obama, he was visiting like a kindergarten or some kid's school. And I think he was reading to him or something or just talking to him. But there was this one boy, he just kept saying, watch this or guess what or something. He just kept saying it over and over.
Like the reading. He just was like no self-control. He had a check mark on his report card. Because he couldn't even behave even in the president's in the presence of the president. But yeah, I mean, so the people who are famous, like, I don't care what, I'm so shy, that is they're pretending. These people all have been, you look at all the Beyonce, all of them, they have all been singing and dancing from a young age and whatever. And even if they're like, my alter ego is this person and they have to come out, Sasha Fierce and this and that, they're all like this. So when they walk in the room, they don't have to say anything after a certain point.
You seen Jay-Z over there with Warren Buffett.
Well, the difference there is Jay-Z is not the same Jay-Z in the room with Warren Buffett as he would be in the room with, dare I say, Puffy, Sean Puffy Combs. But, so like that's not the same. What you see in the room with Warren Buffett is Jay-Z's lower self-esteem in the presence of somebody who he feels is better than he is. But that's a whole nother thing. But, that's what you see there. That's not real humility. That is just a lack of self-concept in the presence of people who you think are better than you are. Because that certainly is not his vibe anywhere else.
Yeah, but so, I don't know. Is it because you get that aura from the other people, though, too? Sometimes, right?
Maybe.
So, like, it causes you to, as they say, shrink yourself, right? When I remember one time we were in like a waiting room for whatever, surgery recovery or something, right? Or some sort of ICU, CICU, something similar, right? And this dude came in and he's just going around shaking hands with everybody and stuff. And, and come to find out he was just a local politician, right? But, it's just like, okay, it's obvious. What type of person this is, right? And then so you get someone like that, then do you even put out the energy to compete with all of this, right? Like, just leave me alone. I'm shutting down.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I know. I see what you're saying there. So maybe, but I think the
who
vast
has
majority,
the most
I can't
riz?
say 100%, but the vast majority of them are like that. And then when they're in rooms together, right?
Bruh, then
the
it's
parties
just a circus.
or whatever, then it just becomes the hierarchy, right? So then you're going to have the people who are the most famous and most desired at the top, the biggest stars. And then, your B and C and eventually D-listers who are lower to the bottom. And then, but you're going to just see a repetition of that same kind of, that same hierarchy, really.
Who bubble into the top.
Yeah, who bubbles to the top. So somebody like Jay-Z and Beyonce, power couple, walking into any of these parties, whether it's an Oscar party, a Grammys party or whatever, they don't even have to say anything, right?
And sometimes it's not just who the person is, because it's what they are, right? Oh, this is a powerful, rich person. So you just have to, right? So Leor Cohen comes in, right? Or Clive Davis comes into the party. Right. Then everybody turns their attention. What was Clive saying? Let me go over there and just act attentive.
So what's interesting is I've heard that somebody kind of recounted it, like when you're at these celebrity parties, that the energy in the room literally shifts when these
one of those big
super
stars, yeah.
stars come in. You feel it in the room. Nobody has to say anything. You just feel that. And when they
You'd be like, where's Beyonce?
Yes, when they leave, you also feel that shift of the energy. They say that. I ain't never been in a room.
Well,
with
you
got to
put on your best behavior, right? So, politics has changed in the U.S. a lot, right? But let's say Obama does come into the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's going to, I ain't going to be, throwing my hands up and doing silly stemming dances, right? Because I know he's there, right? And then when he leaves, boom, everybody else, you get back to normal and doing your loud laughter and you know what I'm saying? Not trying to look all sophisticated and stuff.
Yeah, you want to be very mindful and very demure when it's Obama is in the room.
And then you could play back that ass up once he leaves. That's how you know.
But wouldn't that be crazy if they played it while he was there and then he threw
and then
his
Michelle
hands in the air
started dancing,
and Michelle danced.
Bruh.
But no, I don't.
But
it would be.
Speaking of hands in the air, backing it up. But did Dudley? Did he overstep his bounds though? Since we're on that subject,
yeah.
As an angel, is it even up to him?
So he was supposed to be, the whole thing is right. He's supposed to be earning his wings, but he still has his human personality, right? And he has this angel handbook that has the rules in it, right? But he still is himself. So he still is left to try to figure it out because he's trying to gain his wings, right? So that he can be full-fledged angel. So he's like angel in training, but he doesn't even have a preceptor. So he's just kind of on his own trying to figure it out. So he keeps trying to push them together. Hey, why don't you do this? And he'll set up something, but then Henry would get busy and Dudley would be left alone with Julia.
I think he was terrible, right? In the end, was it even him?
I think it worked out because of the magicalness of his divine intervention. Because even at the end, when everybody's together and he's just in their house by himself, looking at their, Christmas tree decorated, and now that everything's okay and he's ready to leave, he's looking at their wedding picture, Julia with the preacher, and he morphs himself into the wedding picture as her husband in the picture.
Yeah.
So even right up to the end, he was about the foolishness.
His whole purpose is to try to get them back together and, have this great bubbling relationship again.
Yes.
But it's kind of so now that you're here, go ahead and take my wife out. Now they can have further separation.
Yeah, he's well, go ahead and do that. Because, Dudley kind of comes in, he reveals himself to Henry. He's I'm an angel, but he doesn't want that revealed to everybody else. And even Henry in the beginning doesn't really believe it's him. So he's just putting him to the test and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But what about Julia, though?
That's the real question, right? So as a married woman, was it wrong for Julia to allow herself to develop feelings for Dudley? Or does this reflect her unmet emotional needs in the marriage?
In the morality of the movie, she is perfectly fine, because if the angel come down, then I can't even put nothing else on no human. Angel come down, do this, then everything that human done is just totally excused.
Because the angel then put the, spell on her.
Not even the spell. Just because an angel can do this, then my standards for humans are lower than even that of the angel.
Yeah.
So you can't introduce this angel like this fallible angel. You got the fallible preacher, right? We got a hierarchy in the movie, right? And the angel falls, okay, the preacher, whatever, then your standards are even lower. And then even just the wife of the preacher, your standards is even a little lower for me, right? So, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think in regular situation, if he was not an angel, Julia definitely would have been wrong for letting herself get that close to a regular man. But, an angel in the body of Denzel Washington.
Bruh. We didn't mention that, though, really. Denzel Washington. It's Denzel Washington.
It would be very difficult to, resist.
Denzel Washington been acting up lately, bro. He just don't care no more. No, because in the 90s, we didn't get to see everything that was going on and stuff. But like, he be going off on people and shit.
Yeah, well, and maybe part of that is, was he going off the whole time? Or
That's-
maybe it's because he's just a vet, he can just
That's
do
what
that.
I was like. I don't know. Maybe. No, wait. I'm thinking of somebody else. So your relative worked with some of these stars before. Remember the story? I think it was Morgan Freeman, one of them types, right?
Morgan Freeman. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was. I was thinking it was Denzel, but it was. But that's what I'm
It was
saying.
Morgan Freeman.
I just think
Yeah.
that they're like this, right?
I mean, maybe.
And
Maybe.
wasn't it something with the lady from Grey's Anatomy that she talked about that happened years ago?
With Denzel?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. But I would just say that he's done a reasonable job of keeping his reputation pretty clean in terms of his work, how he works and being serious about what he does and stuff. Like, I don't think that is even questionable. And then anything that any rumors that may have existed, which, go to the comments and let us know because if y'all are thinking what I'm thinking. But even though I think even those things he just has overcome, and he's got a solid wife who's an amazing woman who's right there and sharing in his success, and obviously he's got his son who's an actor now, so it's all come together, and I think he's one of the few actors who really kind of avoided major pitfalls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it was Ellen Pompeo. She said when he directed, I guess, some episode of Grey's Anatomy, she didn't come out good on the other side of the story.
Are we talking about Denzel Washington or Isaiah Washington?
Denzel Washington.
Okay. It didn't come out good.
Yeah, it didn't come out good for her on the other side, right? Where, I guess, I don't know, she just told this story. You know how people get on podcasts, start rambling and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, people like, wait, what? Why you cussed out Denzel Washington?
Oh my. Ellen? I don't know. But yeah. So, and then another question would be like, how does Julia's relationship with Dudley change kind of these traditional views of loyalty and emotional infidelity? Like, was that emotional cheating her, she going around, not even just emotional. I mean, okay, you're saying that they might have did the do or got real, busy with things. Jokingly. I think you serious though.
What?
But like, was this at a minimum, was it emotional cheating? Because she was kind of like, she even told her mother, hey, I can look, I can basically, as long as I'm not quote unquote doing anything, then I can look at this man and I can pine. And her mama told her, well, you better not be going window shopping with money in your pocket.
It depends how I feel, but the whole, are you really in control of your emotions is kind of a thing.
Well,
like,
the
whole idea of emotional cheating, it's okay. So your husband say, hey, take my wife over here, and they spend time together, and then they start to like each other. Then what? That's just human.
So what it would be, it is human, which is why the appropriate thing to do is not to be interacting with people with whom you can form these emotional bonds that would be inappropriate if they
the
formed.
husband brought them there.
I mean,
right? But so let's say you're at work, right? Because I don't really see much difference in becoming
in work husbands and work wives.
You like somebody, right? Then you that turns into love, and I don't know if there's a difference in whatever love and the other love, right? In love and love, right? Like you care about your coworkers. The only difference is one you committed to smashing, and the others you're not. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's that same sort of thing. They go out, they ice skate and stuff very innocently, and they like each other, right? And it's the territorial nature of everything that makes it wrong, right? By, oh, my significant other ain't gonna like it, or the significant other doesn't like it.
Well,
right?
It's not just how the significant other is going to feel. How you feel about that person also affects how you feel about your significant other. I don't care what nobody says. And
well, it's sort of like how you feel about one sibling doesn't make you feel differently about another.
No, that's different to me.
Two parents, see, but that's what I'm saying. I don't see.
See, that's different because in where sex is involved or potentially involved, I think that changes the dynamics some, right? Because we in life don't just have one parent necessarily, or one sibling necessarily, or one cousin, but we do have people who we're going to be closer to in some way or another. But in general, maybe it's that you like, and the other part is you didn't choose these people to be in your life. But when it comes to romance, you are allowing, choosing, selecting, however you want to put it, those people in your life.
Well, once you say romance, then it turned into something else, right? You turned into their innocent meeting to go and skate into something else.
Yeah, because it basically turned into a little date.
Yeah, when you look at it that way. Other than that, they just showed
But
up.
she
at
had
the,
fun.
Yeah,
And she enjoyed
and
herself.
having fun is romantic. See what I'm saying?
Well, it wouldn't be if they had skated individually and not skated as a couple skate, with his arms around her and hers around him.
Right. So let's say people go on that show, that dancing show.
Uh-huh.
So you think you can dance? The
Yeah.
Same thing, right? So I'm pretty sure they develop, quote, feelings for each other. They start to like each other and care about the person who they spent time with. You know what I like? That's just what I'm saying.
At a minimum, even if you don't care about them, when people touch in certain ways, this is why, like, partners many times.
Yeah,
like
but I'm
ice
trying to
skate
stick to the
partners, all
quote
that.
emotional part.
Well, yeah, okay.
Right.
But I'm just like, anytime, like the people who star in movies together and stuff like this, these people be
All right.
smashing.
So that's what so Dudley would do, right? He would touch you, right? People who they say have charm, charisma, all that, what they want to do, they come and they put their hand on you.
Yes, they do.
They try to sun you too, right? Because that's part of it too, right? Come, put your hand on the shoulder, reach over, grab the forearm, all that stuff, you can read in books. But that is part of it, right? Because when you got that human touch, so looking in the eyes, right? This is part of human connections too, right? So, of course that, but I still gonna stick to there's just this difference in voluntarily deciding that, quote, Grey's Anatomy thing, that's my person. I think that's the only difference. And you spend more time, which could cause you to have more adoration or attachment, or that person, or even anything too, or you grow tired of it. Right?
Yeah.
You start to see everything wrong with it, like, oh, look at I wanted this car, I got this car, it's so nice and stuff. Time goes on, dang, those buttons ain't working right or whatever, the touch screen's a little blemish, it's getting dark in this one spot.
But I mean, that was what was happening in this movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything, and they had been friends, she said, since they were in strollers, so they knew each other their whole lives.
We were in adjoining strollers, and one day I took his pacifier.
Yeah.
And then they had this romantic
And
relationship
your boy
and marriage.
was very jealous.
But what's always new is going to seem more exciting and attractive than, the slow and steady race that is these long-term relationships. Something new going to seem, because it's new.
Yeah.
It's different. It's exciting,
Or so for Dudley, it's probably that old thing though too. Right? Which happens later in the movie, then it's the old thing for the couple.
Right.
The preacher and his wife.
Right. So, but I do think that, like, Dudley's, him having these human emotions and still being, even though he's an angel, like, very human in his behavior, it does add a real depth to his character and, kind of creates this complexity and like moral dilemma in the story, right?
Yeah.
Because who's right, who's wrong. And even though, because this movie is very lighthearted, you just can glaze over that because it just makes you feel good. Oh, okay. But at the end of the day, like, the question you have to wonder is, like, is Dudley heartbroken at the end of the movie? Because he really had fell in love.
Is
he'd
Dudley
fallen in
heartbroken?
love. Yeah. Is he heartbroken because he can't have the woman he kind of loves by this point?
Oh, well.
Your
Your commitment is to God.
This is true. And he, assuming
Why wouldn't angels
his
have
pain would be
wives?
soothed Why wouldn't angels have one? Because I don't know, they're gone from home all the time and they got work to do. I don't, go to the comments. Heit wants to know why angels don't have wives. Well, maybe because some of them are women, but they could have spouses. All right. So
a woman could have a wife too. So
that is true too.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about insecurities because we were talking about Henry being jealous of Dudley, but like, how does his jealousy toward Dudley like show that he is insecure as a husband and a pastor? Like
at Jazzy's all night? Well, you told me to take her out. I said take her out, but not to the place where I proposed.
It really exposes Henry's insecurities, not just the jealousy, but like over the church, he can't solve the problems, and all of that.
It's just very obvious the way they showed. I don't know if they could have done a better job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like, okay, I'm so busy, go with my wife, and then why was you with my wife?
She had a good time, Henry. Really? Yeah.
He was so mad.
Why was you with this guy? Like,
and then when they came in real late after they were out at that club,
yeah,
he was pissed. It was like he had all the lights off, and then
like
they came in.
Probably all asleep.
Not all of us. Henry.
Laughing. Yes, he was like, you went down there. That's where I proposed. He was like incensed by the whole thing. But I think one of the lessons that Henry did learn was like trying to balance your personal relationships with the professional obligations he had as a pastor.
You know the movie The Click, whatever it's called, Adam Sandler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good movie, right? It's kind of like that. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, because he was trying to fast forward through all of the parts of life that,
But it might tell you that you can't do both, right? If you really want to be committed. Can you commit yourself to two things?
Well, since this is a religious movie, the Bible says you can't serve two masters.
You ain't gonna be completely committed.
Or you will love one and hate the other.
So, I don't know. I just think that's, I know, part of that natural thing, right? But what if he accepted that he was an angel, right? Because part of it is his relationship with God doesn't allow him to believe that he would send down an angel.
Which is interesting, right? Because if your faith is so strong and you have such belief, but also because it's not something that we would experience in this life, even if we do have.
You're following the Bible, and everything in the Bible happened supposedly thousands of years ago, so it ain't gonna happen to you now.
Mm-hmm.
So everything godly or all the miracles and all that have already happened, unless you're Catholic, probably.
So the other thing is, we had talked about Gregory Hines' character, Hamilton. And so at one point in the film, because Hamilton, we find out, owns the church or whatever. And so he's like, look, I see that Henry is this good pastor. He can talk good. I'm building this church. I need him to come over to where I am so that basically I can have this great deal, and so he's buying his way into things. He's a developer, right? He wants to build things and, make money off of these buildings and stuff like that. And there is a clear conflict, and Henry at first agrees, like he's gonna just go over there, let his church close and whatever, because they done put the screws to him, saying, hey, look, I own your mortgage. The church is closing no matter even if you say yes or no. But he was tempted at first to go along with it and compromise himself.
So both of them in a couple are tempted by the next big greater thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big greater church. I don't know why. You got more people, right? You have better facilities, all that stuff. And that's basically what the wife got, right? Companionship, all that. And, I'm not getting this from this man, from my husband.
Right.
I get it from Dudley, and she actually did it, right? And then for her to be upset, basically, that he would choose the same thing in essence, you choose. That's why, when we talk about how, things are connected and people be like, you're overthinking it, or, it's not that deep. It really is. Like they basically chose the same thing, but she was hypocritical in her, right? Because
Because they both kind of went outside the bounds of really where they should have been morally.
Yeah. They're just like, oh, I got this new greater thing. And
based on temptation.
Yeah.
Due to their own frustration about where they were in their life at that point.
Right. And some a thing that's probably wrong. Right? Oh, the boiler is whatever broken or whatever's wrong with the church, right? And her, oh, no time from my husband, right?
Yes. So speaking of the deal that Henry was tempted to take, should he have just said, hey, maybe I should take this deal because it would be good for the greater good of the church? Or was his refusal the right moral thing to do? The right moral stand for him to take?
I don't know. That's the question.
Yeah.
But it depends on. So the thing is, like, when it's like this, you have backing, right? So you have who is the ownership and all of that other stuff, right? So then you could say that, okay, I go do this, then who is benefiting off of the faith of, the hopes and all of this of the community, right? So if it's just, I'm ensuring that the community benefits from the church and its activities. And, our intentions are pure, right? Versus now I got backers who is the boss and who's going to decide and dictate what the intentions are, right?
Right.
Sort of like with everything. If what we want to put out on YouTube, right? Or whatever, right? What are our intentions going to be like? Because we could be doing something else.
It's so hard, y'all. Y'all don't even know because, like, we could sit up here and look at things we could be talking about, things that we know would be hugely popular topics that could make us a lot more money. But unfortunately, or fortunately, really, the moral compass being intact as it is certain things we're just not going to do. Certain things we're not going to, discussions just for the sake of whatever.
Or if, we do what we do now and then, somebody, hey, I'll invest. And then you can have bigger, better, production, right? Hire people and do all this stuff. But then what will drive us, right? Like, hey, maybe we don't talk about the preacher's wife because we need to talk about a movie that everybody is going to want to click on, right?
or when people pay you, right?
Yeah, you have to try to do whatever
right. You have to try to appease them, which is one reason why we are so appreciative to the people who are in our Patreon and channel members, because when they join, we do give them something in the form of some exclusive videos and early releases when we can. But mostly it's because they support what we're doing and they like the topics that we cover, and they understand that in order to keep things going, that we do need that support, and so we greatly appreciate that. And the fact that it's not like, well, I'm not going to support you unless you do this movie.
But we are compromised at times because we do have to do popular topics and position the videos in a certain way. We just have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, y'all wouldn't get videos.
Right, right. And speaking of which, a lot of people have been complaining lately that they're not seeing our videos in the feed and stuff. So if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, sometimes if you go and if you subscribe and then, if you unsubscribe and then resubscribe, make sure you have all clicked on the bell so that you'll get all the notifications. Sometimes that will work, but like it's really tough. And then also just, think about us. Interact with the community tab posts when we have polls and other stuff like that, and hopefully you'll get a chance to see us more. But YouTube is just funny that way. So we are left to play by the game. But in this movie, I don't know. I think on one hand you should consider the greater good, but see, somebody who is low down like Hamilton was in that movie, you can't rely on him to uphold his end of the bargain. And that's the problem with dealing with people who don't have intact moral compasses. They're going to do whatever is best for them at the time. And so reneging on promises and things like that will mean nothing to them. And so if you're relying on them to do what they said that they would do, right, then that could be a huge mistake.
Yeah. And especially when it starts off with some slick stuff like, oh yeah, I just I basically bought the mortgage, so I own this.
But he only brings up the slickness when you are like, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to do what you wanted, right? Oh, well, you're going to do it either way. I just didn't want you to know that no matter what, you really didn't have a choice, you know?
Yeah.
So the church is going one way or the other, but I had just hoped that you would, comply.
Yeah, because it's so much better if somebody's doing something voluntarily because they completely bought in and they going to toe that line.
Right. Right. So other things, community in the church, and, should the community have done more to support Henry and Julia? Because, it wasn't like he was this big time pastor with an airplane and driving a Mercedes Benz or something.
What you mean
like,
do more?
So in other words, recognizing that they too were like humans who had a level of struggle.
Well,
or is it just, hey, this is your job, so when I call you, I
church.
need you to be there, and that's just
I donate to the church, so what else am I supposed to do, right? I don't know. Like, that's up to the church as the community, right, and the leaders of the church to do that, right? To say, okay, the church needs to be doing. That's what leadership is, too, right?
Yeah.
So, but how do you even know that they're struggling and stuff? You get up there and you be like, hey, y'all, we struggling?
Yeah. I mean, but the members knew because, the boiler was going out while they were in choir rehearsal, and like their church is falling apart.
So when you look at the church,
is the church over at the other church trying to get investors.
Is the church the people?
The church is the congregation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, then it's not that Julia and them are struggling. It's the church is struggling, right? So why would they care about the pastor individually, especially the leader? Anytime you're a leader of anything, I'm still putting you above all the other people there too.
So in other words, you're saying that above in the sense that you should be less concerned about the leader because they have more privilege and money.
Yeah, it's hierarchical, right? So it's just this is your job. We're paying you to do this, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe some people have more, but like, I don't know. That's a whole church thing. I don't know. People in church, y'all go to comments and let me know how the church is supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I think that's just how most people look at it. I go to church. The church is just this thing, right? And I think it's up to those leaders and all of them to instill that sort of community. You know how they do, we family. You know what I'm saying? Like they do in other corporations, right? It has to be instilled in church.
So last couple of questions, but one of them is about like faith and the renewal of faith in this film and how it's portrayed. And not just the religious faith, but like faith in yourself, faith in love, faith in other people. And so how do you feel like the characters kind of reflect that? Like, was that a lesson you think was worthwhile in the movie? Like the faith is being tested and it's been restored, when you start losing your faith? Especially faith in yourself.
Did we really see? Yeah, I don't know. Because it's a religious movie, I think there should be something about faith in whatever religious doctrine they have, right? So I don't know. Did she gain faith in her husband? I don't think so, right? Because I don't know. He just turned back around like, okay, I'm going to do this and now I'm not going to do this, right? Did they even fix their marriage in the end? Maybe it's just some shortcomings in the story.
Maybe. I mean, but I think that him making the conscious effort to do the right thing, to be present with his wife, like when, they together went and delivered, I don't remember what they were delivering, but they were delivering some type of food or whatever to some of the congregation members.
Maybe they have faith in their mission, right? Because that's other things I don't think of as in terms of faith, right?
But the rest of it would get renewed through that as far as their relationship, right? And her faith in him and his faith in her.
Maybe.
Because
that's
I think
the easy route, but I need them to show me this.
It's when you do it together. I think that's one of the keys is that if you're doing things together, then you're together, and that's just.
All right, that's unity to me.
Yeah.
Not faith.
But I guess what I'm saying is if I have more faith when I see that it's affirmed, or does that make any sense? Like, of course my faith is strengthened when, like, the faith that the sun will rise every morning is because it rises, and it always has, and it hasn't not in the decades that I've been on this earth.
And what, she has faith that they do things together?
Not just that so the doing things together means that he cares about being with her and including her, because she pointed out multiple times how, like, he was doing things on his own. You made this decision on your own. You didn't talk to me. You didn't. So that she doesn't feel like she's a member of the team. It's like he's just out there. He's feeling all alone because he is all alone because he's not even really
so maybe that's back to what we previously were talking about, together. Right? Not utilizing the church. When people not worried about your struggles with the boiler and stuff because you didn't bring it to the church. Right?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Or bring what these people was doing until you at the last moment, right? And they try to close down the church. Why you didn't barely say this?
Yeah. And then you had the little boy, their son had his best friend who went into foster care. And of course, at the end, they wind up basically adopting or fostering the little boy. So then now their son has like a brother who's his son, and playmate now who's his own same age, because he was an only child prior to that. And the son's broken heart is healed because he was very hurt when his friend was being taken away from him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one thing. And then religious faith, I would think that got renewed when you realize that this was an actual angel who did come down. But you only realize it for a period because at the end, the adult's memory is wiped.
Yeah,
so
but
Julia doesn't remember.
Did they?
Did they what?
Did they realize it?
Well, definitely the pastor did, right? Because he saw how it all came together. And he believed then that Dudley...
I don't know.
Well, I don't go to the comments, y'all. Do y'all think that he acknowledged that Dudley really was an angel?
Reminds me of Miracle on 34th Street. But at the same time, I think that's how we use things colloquially, right? If somebody's an angel, right? Maybe he really is. Somebody come up and tell me I'm an angel, and then, it just so happens that because of them, this other thing happened. I'm like, dang, it surely was an angel. So
that's something to think about. So, and I guess at this point, does the resolution of the film kind of provide this closure that all of the dilemmas presented have been resolved, or does it leave, kind of this moral question unresolved and unanswered at the end?
I don't know. Which moral question?
Well, one, was Dudley really an angel? Or was he just a figment of the kid's imagination? The kid's the one telling the story.
It was just a dude who the mom was cheating with.
Shut up. I see. We back to that.
But no, but if that's the thing, right? If it's just a kid's imagination, if you over there at the park and your mama over here dancing on ice skates with this man.
Well, how come the mama and the daddy don't remember him when both of them, the child witnessed both of them interact with him? See, so I can't go with that.
But hold up, I'm saying, so in the kid's imagination, this is somebody.
We're gonna go with this is the kid's perspective, and this is how he saw it.
No, I'm just saying, if a kid saw it a certain way, then just what is beyond the kid's imagination. But it's beyond the kid's imagination. But that's what had happened. They was getting it on in the back of the station wagon. Did he have a station? He didn't have it.
It was a station wagon.
Yeah, it's one of those mini station wagons.
This movie this way. It's just so wrong. It's so wrong.
You keep bringing up stuff that make me go back there.
I'm bringing up things that make us have to think about this movie. And did we get the closure? I
didn't get the closure. I got the closure on the church part. All right, he's not leaving the church. But they didn't show me how the church was just this significant pillar in the community.
Well, okay, so it's because of the pastor.
Yeah, the pastor
boy
by himself could still be doing that, working at the bigger church. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And then the question I have today is like, are churches really the pillars of the community that they once were? Because I think that, especially over the last 30 years or so, 30, 40 years, we've seen people kind of leave the church, right?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Exactly. But Cheri thinks she time traveled and was in this movie, y'all.
Shut up.
As a little kid.
Let me show y'all this. Every time I see this little girl, I just laugh because not because of how she looks, but I also laugh because I have a picture of myself and I legit looked like this as a kid. This is what I looked like with my glasses on. And there's this picture of me from like kindergarten where I'm wearing these weird looking glasses and I'm looking up, you know, into the camera and I'm holding, like I'm smiling with these weird little baby teeth and I'm holding pieces of a puzzle. There's a puzzle in front of me. And yeah, and I'm wearing this like green, like very, very very fly outfit for the day. But yeah, I doubt I can conjure that photo up. But at some point, if I can't find it for this video, I have to ask my mama about it, and then maybe I can put it on the community tab wall with a side by side from this little girl. But I'll put the screenshot of this little girl, or you know, you can look on the screen right now and see her. Like legit, I did look like this, and it always makes me laugh.
So they the thing is, they try to use the pastor as a representative or a symbol of the church, right? Him going out and doing all these things, and I don't think that worked for me.
Why?
Because it only showed the pastor doing it, right? And we talked about this where the church is the congregation and all that.
So everybody should have them hands on deck.
I guess they show them do their little event or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Christmas event, but
yeah.
I don't know. I needed the church to show up like in the Tyler Perry movie. Right when the community showed up, basically with Daddy's Little Girls or whatever, or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was Daddy's Little Girls. You know, that it just makes me wonder because I'm like, does the church still do for people the way it did at one point?
Or show people? You mean now?
Yes.
Yeah, but like if they were show the church giving out meals and coats and you know those sort of things, you know the little things that they.
I mean, and they still do those giveaways and stuff, but it's not always the church, right? It just seems like it's a person who decided they were going to do a thing. You know?
So you're putting faith into, like I say, the leadership and stuff. Like, what are they going to decide to do with the money? We see this guy had his old station wagon at the time. And people like, it used to be Cadillac. Now they upping it to, you know, bigger, more luxurious
vehicles
SUVs,
and
right? I need this Benz and BMW when I pull up at the church.
Well, and it makes me think also, just like how, back to your idea that all of the members of the congregation should be helping and doing something. And even if you don't have a lot, that doesn't mean you still don't have something to give or help somebody who has less than what you have. And, you know, I don't think we've ever even said this publicly, but one of the things that we used to do when we lived when we lived in Dallas was we would put together these kits that we got stuff from the dollar store. Like we didn't have a lot of money, you know, but we just a few dollars and we would make up these kits and I put them in Ziploc bags. In the summertime, they would have socks in them. What did we have? Like a water bottle in there.
Yeah, toothpaste and stuff.
Different hygiene products and stuff. And we would keep them in the car. And then when we would come up, because you know how there'll be people who are unhoused or otherwise needy who might be at a stoplight and you would see them and they are asking for money and different things like that. And I'm like, man, we don't even really have money to give them. But if we can hand them something like that, that would be helpful. Water in the hot day, and
you hand somebody like $5 or something, they just be like, "All right, thank you." Right? You hand them some socks, they like, "Oh, thank you, it's so great. I really need," you know.
Yeah,
it's a big difference, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying just give socks, but I'm just saying.
And
they're
each
very
bag might have been like
socks.
at the time it was before the dollar store went up on prices to $1.25, but like it might have had about $3 or $4 worth of stuff in it. And it's not like we gave away a bag every day, but like I want to say maybe at one point we spent $50 and we got supplies and then that lasted us some while because it wasn't like we were just, you know. And then when we didn't have them, we just didn't have them, but we would give them out. And I remember somebody behind us had pulled up one time and was like, "That's such a good idea. I'm going to do that too." But that was what we could do.
Yeah.
You know. And so.
And I don't even know how we just started doing that, but yeah.
I don't either.
So speaking of Dallas, so I ain't gonna say I know all the particulars and stuff, but so I knew this dude who went to the Potter's house, right? That was his church. And he
T.D.
would,
Jakes' church.
yeah, T.D. Jakes. But he would talk about like, just this, going to church and stuff like that. But it was, the classism that I would get from what he was saying, right, is that, okay, he got to sit all up in the balcony and stuff, right? And people who donate a certain amount get to be up front, and Emmett Smith and his wife in a tight dress where you can see the round of her booty is down there in the front. I'm telling you, this was
That's what he said.
This the type of stuff I was getting from him all the time. And you had his ATM, and then you got to set up your automatic whatever and all this other stuff. Like, dang.
Some of these churches are wild, which is why, it's just tough because, and back in the day when it was one church that I would go to, which was it was televised. It was a televised church in the Midwest. And, they would be on like TBN and the Word channel, and stuff like that. And they actually brought a pyramid scheme up into the church one day, and they were on them tithes. They wanted you to, they were like, you better, get your money out and stuff like that. And, ultimately it was after the pyramid scheme that I left that particular church. But it's just like, man, people be on that grift, and the church is one easy way to do it, because I think people are just open and they're desperate for help and guidance, and and if they just take advantage of a lot of people. And that's not to say all churches.
That's what I'm about to say, because sometimes it could just sometimes it could be that, okay, you just good, right? Like if you listen to some of them, you're like, dang, I see why people will follow them, and it's up to basically them and the leadership and where they're taking this, right? And their intentions, right? Because some people, they draw folks, right? We talking about that riz, that charm, right? They draw folks in. Maybe what they're saying is good and it resonates with people and all sort of stuff. You in the right place, but sometimes, power corrupts and money corrupts and all this, right? So maybe there's some people out there who got a big following and their intentions are still closer to pure.
Well, and then, just not to get all biblical again, but faith without works is dead. Like and the idea that, a tree by its fruits. And if you're not bringing forth good fruit, and I just think this is just a great general statement for life. Like if you're not bringing forth positive or good things, then how are you a good tree?
Yeah, but
that
it's up to,
for real.
Well,
and that, I mean, good is an interpretation.
Exactly. Like people don't be like, I like
some
those
stuff
fruits.
Is obviously bad. Shut up.
I like
some
those.
Stuff is obviously bad, and people are like, but they're so good. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know about that. I got to look at what you're putting out, and but that's a personal decision for all of us to make. But yeah, but The Preacher's Wife, a great movie, a great holiday movie. We know it's some of y'all's favorites. I hope that Heit didn't ruin it by saying Denzel smashed. But I love this movie. I watched it again a couple times, and it's a good movie, a good wholesome family movie that everybody can watch and enjoy, and the music is good too. Would you call this a musical?
No, maybe I guess. How many songs in here? But see, the thing is, they don't sing what's happening, right? They just sing a song.
Well, there's one point where they do. There's this song when they're ice skating, and she's talking about, how she didn't want to fall for him and whatever, but, you're my sweet temptation, my true temptation.
She's singing that?
She's singing
she's not.
My Heart is Calling for You.
Yeah, she's not riding around. Is she? She was singing it?
That's the song.
No, I'm talking about she on skate singing.
No.
Yeah, so.
No, but it does narrate kind of what's going on.
That's standard movie stuff. Play a song when something happening.
Yeah, so it's not a musical. Okay, I guess in the sense that, she's a singer. I guess it's the way that A Bodyguard is not a musical.
But one of my favorite musical is Hustle and Flow. What did you say?
I said The Wiz.
No, Hustle and Flow. I done seen a lot of crazy things in these streets. He's kind of rapping what's going on.
That's true.
But there is this one with Sticky Fingers, I believe it was. I think it's called A Day in Her Life or something. The entire movie is rapped.
Your favorite one is Carmen, a hip hop opera.
Bruh, no.
Starring Beyonce.
Just stop. Don't get me canceled.
Oh my goodness. Okay. But this was great. This was great. So
Hold up, wait up. That was Mekhi Phifer in that
was
one?
Mekhi Phifer, yes.
I think, maybe it's Omar Epps is in the one I was talking about with Sticky Fingers.
I don't even know. Go
And
to
I think
somebody in the comments knows
he used to
which
be a
one it is.
rapper. Like,
Omar Epps, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I guess once a rapper, always a rapper, though. He a rapper. If you made it this far into this nice long rundown, go ahead and type church in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
And let us know another Christmas movie or holiday film you want us to cover. And be sure to check out one of the videos that's on the screen right now.